if I only have like 3.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah,
that's
I don't
fine.
have very
that's
many,
fine.
and the wording might be a little different. So how are we going to do the guessing? Do we tell you who it is, or
No. I'll start off with one, and we could just take it from there. You know what I mean? So then that way it can kind of give everybody a feel of it.
Okay.
All right. Y'all ready to rock?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get this going. All right. What's good? What's good? What's good? You tune in Apartment 5B, hosted by your man Kill. I got my squad with me in effect today. Porsche, ladies first, as always. What's going on, miss?
How's it going, Kill?
Everything is good. Everything is good. Eddie out in LA. What's good, bro?
Hey, I'm good, Kill.
All right, no doubt. Rack, what's good?
Hey, man. It's a beautiful Sunday. I'm with the squad. I can't complain.
All right, Vern out in ATL. What's good, baby?
What's going on, fam? Good to be back, man.
No doubt, man. We missed you. We missed you. Well,
Definitely missed you, Vern.
Y'all know me. Let's get right into it. I was out with my man Kelv the other day from we went to Morgan together. We chopping it up, and I was like, yo, 30 for 30s. I love them joints, man. You know how it all starts. When we was talking about the Sixers, and I said, one day we're going to get a 30 for 30 on Markelle Fultz. Like, yo, what if I told you the #1 draft pick would forget how to shoot the basketball? You know what I mean? And I'm still waiting to figure out what the hell happened. Like, yo, to this day, I don't think I've ever seen anything like Markelle Fultz just looking at the footage. I remember when we traded with Boston to get the #1 pick, I'm like just watching every highlight from him at Washington, and this dude is just shooting lights out everywhere, gets to the Sixers, you know, and now he can't shoot the basketball anymore. So I'm like, you know, we need a 30 for 30 on him so I can figure this out. Now I was like, yo, you know, it'd be dope, 30 for 30s for hip hop. Like those 30 for 30s that's like, yo, what if I told you, like we get right into it. We just get right into it. If you've never watched a 30 for 30, stop what you're doing. Well, after you watch this, go watch one. They're dope. They just did one on Michael Vick, which was kind of dope. I didn't finish it. But we gonna start off like this. What if I told you that one of the dopest and hardest MCs ever would go on to make songs with Patti LaBelle, Barry White, Dolomite, Quincy Jones, and then end up posing nude with Naomi Campbell and Madonna? What if I told you that? I mean, that 30 for 30 right there, that needs to happen in real life. So before, because Ev always like Kill, people be biting this shit. Before y'all bite this, come on, y'all. Give me some credit. Give me some. I don't want no credit. I want some money too. Bring me in. Let me host these 30 for 30s. Don't just take my shit and then leave Apartment 5B, you know, in a burning building. Bring me with y'all when y'all do this shit. I want to host the show. Put me down. Who are we talking about, y'all?
Antonio Hardy.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Big Daddy Kane. For people who don't know, this dude, I love Big Daddy Kane. And Kane, if you're watching, this ain't no disrespect, bro, but I always tell people, you got opinions and you got facts. Everything I just said is a fact. I did not read one opinion. I didn't give an opinion. I just gave facts of what you did. Now, for people who may not know, yo, Big Daddy Kane, I heard this dude on Raw. And when I heard Raw, it was like, yo, who is this? Like, yo, this dude is, you know, the BPMs are crazy, the rhymes are crazy. Marley on the beat. I don't even know if Marley produced it. Let me not even say that. After reading that Juice Crew book, I don't know who produced what. But this dude was crazy and set it off and just everything. Ain't no half-stepping. Long Live the Kane is a classic. What I got? I mean, Long Live the Kane, just a classic. Just, I mean, got the girls on the joint. I mean, just Big Daddy Kane with the cameo cut. People know I love Kane. I always tell he's the Rosa Parks for dark-skinned dudes, man. Before Kane came out, girls would be like, yo, you cute, but you too dark. I can't mess with you. It was 88. You know what I mean? And then Kane came out with the high top fade, and I came in style. And, you know, it's a Big Daddy thing. His sophomore album. Just 2 5-mic albums back to back. You know what I mean? Just stupidity all around. And then his third album, Taste of Chocolate, came out. And he was on the cover with no shirt on. And as y'all can see, I don't have that CD readily available right here in my collection. That's somewhere in the attic, somewhere in the house, somewhere. But he had his shirt off. And I was like, okay, well, you know, he had his shirt off on this joint. So I said, okay, you know, let me give him a chance. And he didn't have no high top fade no more. He had some little twists. I said, all right, well, you know, and he had a couple of songs on there. I Could Do It Right was the first single. It was cool. And then after that, I think it was Prince of Darkness, and it just started going downhill after that. You know what I mean? So, Porsche, tell me, do you have any opinions of what happened to Big Daddy Kane or anything like that?
I mean, we've talked about this we kind of talk about this every now and then on episodes throughout. To be honest, I think it was sort of dabbling in things that were sort of like hot at the time and seeing where it would go potentially. And also kind of stepping out of the box and seeing where he was able to sort of be good at. Because I guess to me, the way I look at it is, if you're on top of the game in your own area, or what I mean is like your own arena of expertise, you kind of want to challenge yourself. At some point, you're like, okay, well, I'm dope. I know I'm dope. I put out these dope albums. Let me see like what I can do with this, or if I experiment with that and see how good I'm at that as well. And I think that's what happened with Kane. That's the only explanation I can kind of give for that, because it's so left of what he was doing. So to me, that's the real that's the only explanation I can really give myself.
All right, no doubt. Eddie, what about you? You got some thoughts on Kane?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think maybe it was just trying to chase the trends, maybe, which is kind of crazy because, you know, Kane was known as a trendsetter.
Mm-hmm.
So he really didn't have to go that route. I mean, and, you know, I mean, as far as the respect of being one of the top, if not the top, depending who you ask, MCs in the game at the time. You know, I really don't understand why he went that route. You know, yeah, he still has some songs on the radio, but I mean, yeah, I can't call it with that one, man.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Brett?
I'm with Eddie on this one. He didn't have to, you know, try to do what everybody else was doing. He was a trendsetter. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm truly at the loss for words when it comes to Kane and how his career tapered off. It didn't have to be that way. He had to do all that.
All right. What about you, good brother Vern?
I don't know, man. Maybe Kane was ahead of his time. You know, like you say, one of the hardest. I get raw. I mean, good. I mean, man. I mean, just spitting like a doggone machine gun, and he turned into the lover with, you know, Barry White and all that stuff. And Madonna, man. I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe the Russians tapped into his brain or something, man. I mean, because Q, you always use Kane as a reference to how we aren't stands where, nah, that's whack, nigga. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't care that you brought that fire. It's whack. I'm speechless. I'm just kind of babbling right now. I don't know, man. I don't know what happened.
You know what, Vern? I think it's a piece of what you talked on is that he was ahead of his time. Like, I'll never forget the Don't Curse video for Heavy D. You know what I mean? And when I saw it, I was like, yo, why this dude Kane got on a purple button-up shirt with champagne in his hand? And at that time in hip-hop, that seemed crazy. But then you fast forward 6 years and you see Jay sitting there with a button-up shirt with a champagne flute in his hand, and it's all love now. You know what I mean? So I think Kane's, like you said, bro, I think Kane was ahead of his time. But then I also, in reading that Juice Crew book, they were talking about how Kane was always like an old head. They was like, yo, when Long Live the Kane was out, this dude was driving around Brooklyn in his Volvo playing the OJs. You know what I mean? Like, this dude wasn't driving around blasting EPMD and Public Enemy and Stetsasonic. Like, this dude seemed like he just had an older soul. And to me, he really, to me, embodies what Jay ended up becoming. Because to me, cats like Jay and Kanye, they wanted to be bigger than hip hop. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, that's what Kane wanted to be. He wanted to be bigger than hip hop. So he wanted to do songs with Patti LaBelle. You know, he wanted to be on Quincy's Back on the Block. Like, he wanted to, because at the same time, I don't know if it was chasing trends, because not too many other people were really doing that. Like, Rakim, you know, did the Jody Watley Friends joint, but it's not like we had a lot of hip hop artists that were like Kane, KRS, on that level, Rakim, that are like, yo, let me go get with Barry White. Like, yo, this nigga like got with Barry White, like not Jody Watley, who's still making music. Like, Barry White probably had a hit in years. You know what I mean? And Dolomite, like, this dude is doing songs with, like, so it's almost like he wanted to do songs with his heroes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily our hip hop heroes.
And,
You know what I
if
mean?
you think about it, did you mention Jay-Z? Who did Kane bring on tour with him?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Jay, you know, but we weren't at that get money time in hip hop yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it didn't fit in. And so it's always bad that, you know, so many times it's about time. And same thing with ball. It's about who your coach is. You could take one player and put him on a team and he doesn't do anything great. You put him with another coach and now he just excels. You know what I mean? So it's all about time. And Porsche, give me one of yours, miss.
Okay. This is kind of an easy one, I guess, and I'm winging it. I didn't write anything down. So mine is, what if I told you the rapper who released their debut album that would set the standard for debut albums would go on to become known as the worst beat picker in hip hop? How did that happen?
You know, Porsche, man.
I had to go there because I personally, you guys know, I'm not in the camp of Nas is the worst beat picker. I don't think that I think he's just as bad as somebody else. Mind you, Jay.
Right.
Jay's just as spotty with his beat picking as Nas is. But I feel like we hold Nas to a higher standard because Illmatic was such a top tier album. And it literally had, I guess, all the elements in place. Like, he was young when he released it. It was his debut. It was well sequenced. The production was amazing. It just had everything. All the pieces fell into place perfectly for that album. So I feel like this Nas is the worst beat picker thing happens because we, or fans, hold Nas at such high regard. It's such a high standard of quality that when it's not sort of up there or even comparable, then all of a sudden it's the worst ever. I don't think that Nas is the worst beat picker ever, but that's just me.
I think people started piling on, and that became the what do you call it? The stereotype, and everybody just started piling on. The worst, because like you said, you can pull out 20 CDs of some of my favorites, and there's a lot of whack beats on there.
Right.
Yeah. Right. What do you think, right?
I think Nas. I think he gets a bad rap. You know, as far as the beats. Now, some of his beats, I can probably pick out 1 to 2 albums to where I could be like, all right. But you guys are right. Like, as a whole, it's a few other people out there that we could put on that too. But Porsche is right. We hold them to that standard because of, Illmatic being this holy grail of an album that's coveted the way it is. And I think rightfully so. I mean, if you're going to give us that, then cool. But you can't give us, I'm not going to name an album, but you can't give us something that is subpar or substandard and expect fans to be cool with that too, because you did it. You gave us this great body of work, and then you give us this trash too. So I think he owns a piece of it as far as being a terrible beat picker, but I don't know. We'll see if he continues to make music. I don't know if he's got anything new coming out.
Now here's the thing. Let me ask you this: is he top 5 then? If he's not the worst, is he top 5?
As far as a whole, like
worst beat picker, is he in the top 5?
I'll say he's top 5 of the top 5 MCs, if that makes sense to you.
Right.
Thank you, Vern. Thank you. I'm with that. I'm with that because I don't think any of us sit here and say who's our top 5 worst beat pickers of all time. If we're gonna say anything, it would be who's our top 5, and then if you ask out of that, then I can give you out of that.
All right, what were you gonna say, Eddie?
Yeah, so I guess I'll just roll that into my whole spiel. Every time we talk about this, I gotta throw in that Chris Webber beat. That was mind-boggling. It was so crazy. But I mean, I think with Nas, I think it comes down to we know he's capable of better because he gave us better, and I think everyone sees, all right, he's a top tier MCs. All the top producers out. I mean, regardless what day and time it is, what year, what era, all the top producers are going to be fiending to give them their best. And Nas just, I don't know, he's on some other stuff. Like the beats that he chooses, has us scratching our heads. I mean, and sometimes it may not be the worst thing, but we know he can do better. We know like the pool of producers that he has, like, you know, why hasn't he, you know, worked with DJ Premier more? Why hasn't he worked with Pete Rock more? Or, you know, some of these other producers that have given him fire in the past. You know, like I said, these top producers, you know, Alchemist, you know, you can name them. You know, he could get them beats, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I think for me, I think the reason why he's the worst for me is because, and I mean, I agree with y'all. Jay is right there, but I mean, if I had to pick if I have to pick one person's discography to take with me to a deserted island and listen for the rest of my life, it's gonna be Jay's. Like, to me, that's not even close to me. I'm taking Jay's, but that's just me. You know what I mean? So I'm not disregarding that Jay does that too, and I don't listen to Eminem, but people who I know rock with him say his beat choices are just as bad as Nas, but I don't know because I don't listen to him. You know what I mean? So to me, I think the part that I've told the story a million times about how every MC doesn't know how to pick beats. Every MC can't see the big picture. You know what I mean? So, you know, real quick, I'm in Philly, played a beat for the first MC who came through. He didn't like it. Another MC came through. We recorded it. The first MC came through. The next day I played him the song and he was like, why you ain't playing me that beat? And I'm like, my God, I played you that beat. You know, like we argued, like we literally argued for about 5 minutes. I'm like, nigga, I played you that beat. He's like, no, you didn't. And that showed me way back in 1996 that he couldn't hear the whole thing. He couldn't, once he heard the song, then it was like, yo, why you ain't play that for me? So, and this dude was an incredible MC. So it wasn't no knock on his art as an MC, but I also understand that some MCs need, and we've done these shows, executive producers. I had a homeboy who had a great business idea, but he's very quiet. He's very mild-mannered. And I was like, bro, this is not going to succeed. You need somebody who is more loud to get it out there. Because if you just try to promote this yourself, it's not going to work because that's not your personality. So it's the same thing with an MC. It's no knock on Nas to me as far as his rhymes, but it is crazy to me that, you know, we only get Al and Pete Rock on Lost Tapes. Like, I don't understand that. You know what I mean? Like, you got to tell me the science behind that, bro. Like, how does Alchemist and Pete Rock only get to make your albums when it's a lost tape, which is basically the shit that didn't make the album? So you got to help me understand that, bro. You at least owe that to me, bro. Then too, I remember reading this thing, and I can't remember what magazine or what website, but he was saying when he was doing Life is Good, somebody said, yo, why didn't Premier make it? And he was like, yo, I was going through a divorce, and at that time, it's a true story. It's a true fucking story. He said at that time, I was in the studio with Salam, who had been divorced, Swiss, who had been divorced, No ID, who had been divorced. So I'm just like, oh shit, now to make a Nas album, you don't need high beats, you just need to be divorced. Like, so again, you got to help me understand this, bro. You got to help me understand the rap. If I'm going in to make an album, do you think I'm going to be sitting here like, bro, I'm married. Are you married? Rec, you ain't married, so you can't make the album. Only married men with rings to make this. Like, you got to help me understand this, bro. You have to help me understand this. And again, my man used to always tell me this. He's a big Nas fan, maybe the biggest Nas fan I know. And he'd always tell me, like, yo, Nas a little weird. Like, he was like, I don't know if you get that vibe, but even as a fan, he was always like, Nas don't look like he playing with a full deck sometimes. You know what I mean? So maybe that's part of it. But all I'm saying is you got to at least help me understand what was the mindset going into Stillmatic. How do you make Stillmatic? And then give me, you know, hip hop is dead. Like, there's certain albums, like I'll never listen to that nigga album ever again in life. There's just certain things I could be like, I'm like, hip hop to me is almost like a woman. Like it's calling me. So it's like some Nas albums just don't never. It's like I never had an urge to be like, yo, let me pop in. Hip hop is dead today. Like, it just doesn't. So I don't know what it is with Nas, but yeah, I need to know why this dude can't get with Alchemist. I mean, who's maybe one of the most sought after producers. I mean, Porsche, we just got finished saying, you said Pete, I said Alchemist for the best producer of the decade. How can neither one of them make a Nas album? How's that even humanly possible?
I have heard that Nas, and I can't remember if this was in a written interview or if it was on some sort of YouTube video. I don't know. But I heard that Nas kind of goes left with beats because he uses that as a challenge to see how he can sort of adapt to the beats. But I mean, I don't know if that's how, I don't know if that's something you just say at this point because this is just a rap that kind of follows you, or if that's actually the case. I have no idea. But I also want to point out one more thing. I think when you've been in this, like in your career, your longevity is this many albums deep. I think it's difficult. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a producer, nor am I an artist, but I feel like it may be difficult to maintain the consistency and the keep your ear sharp, if that makes sense. I mean, he's aging, like Nas isn't young anymore, and I wonder, like, if we really went to the nitty gritty of it and combed through his albums, what I bet you, like, the best beats ever were in the younger part of his life. And then, as he ages and the albums become, like, he releases more and more albums and the discography becomes so extensive, he kind of loses that sort of ability. I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, anybody who's had such a long career, even outside of hip hop, like, even if we go to like other genres, like Guns N' Roses, I mean, come on, like, their discography is deep as hell. They're not consistent with their first few that were so good. There's no way. So that's just something to think about as well.
Yeah, we need this, Nas. You gotta explain this to me, bro.
Yeah.
There's a certain point where people have to start explaining shit. Like, after 20 plus years, you gotta explain yourself, goddamn it. I don't want to hear no excuses. Just, you got to explain to me why Alchemist and P can't make an album. That makes absolutely no sense. But then you got Life is Good with that Locomotive joint. There was bangers on that. You know what I mean? Like, there was straight up and down bangers. But then one thing that Nas always said that I felt some kind of way about, he was like, for my trapped in the 90s niggas. And I'm like, Locomotive, if this is being trapped in the 90s, nigga, my nigga, like, you need to go back to the 90s then. Because if this is the kind of music we want, to me, Locomotive didn't sound dated. It didn't sound like, oh, this need to be on Illmatic. It just was a dope beat with some dope rhymes. And if that's being stuck in the 90s, my nigga, then God bless your career. I'll take it. And you and Kanye can keep making albums because you promised Obama y'all will make an album together. So anyway, I still don't even understand that.
That's a Boondocks episode.
Yeah, like, yo, you promised Obama. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Yeah. Eddie, what you got up for us, man?
All right. Now, what if I told you that one of the torchbearers in the late 90s, one of the dopest MCs of that time, killed every freestyle, killed every feature, wound up getting into a battle with a true hip hop legend, and then fell off the face of the earth?
I know who this one is.
Me too.
Yo, I'm stuck. I'm stuck, B.
Yeah, I'm not.
Cannabis.
Yeah.
Can I bust? Man, did y'all see that video?
Yes, you can.
Did y'all see that recent video when he was trying to rhyme and they was like, no, don't rhyme? I gotta find it. He was like at a battle or something. His arm was in a cast, in the sling. He was like, y'all want to hear this? And they was like, no.
I didn't see that.
I gotta find it. I'm gonna send it to you.
What's up?
Who did he battle? What you say he battled?
He battled LL. LL Cool J.
Oh, you know what? You know what I was thinking? I'm so stuck on this new Smack DVD battling. I'm like thinking mind-wise like he's on stage, but then I know something like he was battling somebody and he forgot his rhymes and had to get his rhyme book or something. Yeah. Okay, well, that's a whole nother story too. Yeah. All right. Yeah, no, that's a good one, because you had me because I'm thinking Smack DVD, like, damn, who on stage or whatever. Like
the only thing that threw me was Torchbearer. I don't. That was kind of what.
He was killing.
Yeah, he was the next up, man. Right. Everyone at that time. I'm trying to remember who else. I mean, I guess the only other one you could say at that time who was really the torchbearer was DMX. I'm trying to think who else. Maybe Cameron was kind of coming up around that time. Yeah. But as far as like pure lyricism,
that was
right,
Cannabis. Right. That's fair.
That was Cannabis all the way. I mean, I remember growing up in Brooklyn, man, listening to Hot 97, every time Cannabis was up there freestyling, it's like you have to stop what you're doing, listen. Because he was coming up with some wild ass shit. But I mean, the crazy thing to me is that, Cannabis known as a lyricist, and I mean, you would think that he could carry a song better. I mean, but I don't know, man. He went a little too far with some of his concepts and scientifical stuff. I don't know, man. But after that LL battle, man, it was a wrap for him.
You know, the hard part too is with Cannabis. I feel like he's one of those MCs who just can't make good songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to the whole beat picking thing. Like, there's a gift. Like, Rec, I know you ball. Like, there are people who are just nasty on the court, on the playground. They are just utter destruction. Put them into a system, like in a college setting, in a college coach, they can't do it. You know what I mean? So, again, it's not to take away from your skill because you got the handle, you got the jumper, you got the three, you got the step back, you got the hezzy. But when it's time to put that all together in a team setting to try to win towards a common goal, you can't move that way. And there's so many MCs. Yeah, there's so many MCs who are nasty lyrically and have that. But at the end of the day, like, making songs is a gift in itself. You know what I mean? Not a gift. It's a job in itself. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's an art. And I used to always joke about this because back in the day, the Roots and Outkast used to have this little battle about who had the dopest stage show. And I always joked and would say, you could put them in the studio. If you put the Outkast and the Roots in two different studios and say, yo, we want you to make a song about dealing with your baby mama. We gonna get Miss Jackson with a hit that's on the radio and you can remember the rhymes and the people still say forever. People singing the chorus. With the Roots, you ain't gonna know what the fuck going on. You ain't gonna know what Black Thought talking about. He gonna be spitting. He gonna be spitting. Gonna be bars. Gonna be bars. You ain't gonna know what Malik talking about. Somebody gonna be beatboxing in the back. It's gonna be a 20-minute Questlove breakdown with musical interlude with floating and shit. But at the end of the day, you ain't gonna know what they talking about. So it's in Quest used to talk about that, like that they're not very well good with their choruses. You know, Quest used to talk about that. So I mean, that's an art all into itself, being able to make good songs and make good songs that I guess at the time, I don't know anybody who didn't like Miss Jackson. You know what I mean? I don't know anybody who was like, oh man, that's a sellout, or they on the radio or whatever. Mm-hmm. The bars was dope. If you think Big Boy and Dre ain't kill it with their bars, you know what I mean? But again, and maybe we got to do a show on that. Like, what are bars? You know what I mean? Because sometimes I feel like people are like, bars are just spitting rapid fire for, for 20 minutes straight, but I think Big Boy with the, my baby mama be trying to have them boys from the hood come to the neighborhood trying to fight me. She need to get her piece of American pie and take her bite. Like, to me, those was bars, man. Like shit. This dude is like, yo, I paid a light bill. Like, private school, I pay that. Like, so we got to do a show on what are bars, because I feel like some people would be like, nah, Big Boy and them ain't drop no bars, but I beg to differ. But yeah, I just think with Cannabis, he was one of those mad skills, supernatural, those MCs that are just super duper, can come off the top and rap about everything, but can't make a good song to save their life. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Vern, what you got? I mean, Rec, what you got for us, man?
All right, man. So what if I told you this group had the world at their disposal with one of the dopest production teams at they call? Had probably the dopest single of 2002, 2003. Followed it up with 3 crazy albums and ended up just chilling over label issues, solo success, and somebody finding the Lord.
Somebody finding the Lord. I gotta go with Clips.
Indeed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Indeed.
I gotta go with Clips.
Those 3 albums, man, all went gold. Maybe one went platinum or so. But you knew what you was getting with the Clips. Like, you knew you was getting meat and potatoes. It wasn't going to be no thin nothing. Right. And then for all of that to just stop over label issues, Pusha T's impending solo success, and, Malice finding the Lord, it was kind of like, what's going on, So, yeah, I had to put the Clips out there, man. That was a shocker to me when all of that popped off.
Yo, the funny thing about that, man, and here's the wild part, man, when Malice found God, because here's the wild part. If you listen to them rhyme, you could tell they know the word. You could tell that they were raised in church. Like, I don't care how much coke they talk about. They always...
Hell hath no fury.
Scriptures, Lord willing. I mean, they got Jesus in the car with them.
Right. Yeah. Like, you could tell these dudes was raised in church. So I was happy when the boy Mal found the Lord. I'm only frustrated with the production.
Man, can he get some sinners to make his beats?
Yeah.
He said, "Can we need some sinners in the building?" Like, you know, but there you go with Nas. Like, you gotta be divorced. You gotta be divorced to get in the studio with Nas. You gotta be saved to get in the studio with Malice. You know, so you know, it's like, yo, if you don't know Jesus, he's like, yo, you better give me 3 Bible quotables right now. If you're gonna get in the studio with me. Niggas like, Genesis 1:7, the garden, we get kicked out the garden, right? Right, okay. So, you know, cats just, you know, but yeah, man. And it's crazy because I want to say on Ye's last album, there was a Clipse reunion that was just horrible. It was horrible, man. It was, the beat was horrible. Even Pusha sounded bad, man. It was just bad. Was that Ye's last album? I think, was it, y'all? Or did y'all even
I haven't listened to Kanye since Late Registration. So yeah, you asking the wrong.
I want to say it was on.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong group.
I'm asking the wrong group right now. I want to say no, it was Ye's last album because I think that was like the point, like the big thing was, oh, he got the Clipse and Kenny G is on it. That's what it was.
Oh my God.
Man,
yo,
that's probably why I haven't heard it. Once I saw that, I probably said, "No, I'm good."
Yo, and I remember because I was in the barbershop, Twitter is blowing up. I went home and listened to it. I was like, "Yo, this sounds horrible." Like, this is one of the few times I ever heard Pusha it just was bad all over, and it was like, you know what? I don't want to reunion. I don't want.
Remember, if it's a Kanye album, he might have switched up things at the end, and
you're right.
Because Kanye is just dodgy like that. Like, I don't trust a thing this guy does. So
here's the problem.
And that's why I don't visit his albums, because
I'm a very open-minded person, but I don't ever want to hear Kenny G in the Clipse together. Like, right there, we could just stop that. If you want to bring Kenny G into the studio with Pusha and Malice, just yo, yo, you can keep Kenny G out the studio, and the bad part was the Swallowers were so bad. They was like, yo, this is crazy. I'm like, Kenny G, y'all didn't even know who Kenny G was. Like, I quit. Vern, what you got for us, good brother?
All right. What if I told you that a young man from the SWATs, who was part of the seminal rap group that helped pen one of the songs that made the South get on the map, was singing background vocals on TLC, be a part of Santana's Grammy Award-winning album, form a Grammy Award-winning group, making pop hits all over the world, would end up painted like a gold Grammy statue? Who am I?
D.O. Green.
Yes, sir.
Yo, what happened with CeeLo, y'all?
Oh man.
I think well, he did the Gnarls Barkley thing, right?
Yes.
That was a little out there.
No,
but it was successful.
But I felt like that was cool though.
That
was cool.
I'll check it out.
And then he had that rape case.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's weird because I always felt like the South, and I know Nick and Vern, you would always talk about this, about how the South got more, I guess, freedom to be open. You know what I mean? Like when Q-Tip tried that, 3000 stuff, it was like you a weirdo, but when 3000 and CeeLo do it, it's cool. You know what I mean? When CeeLo was singing on that joint he had with Timbaland, what was it? I Get Around or something? That joint was crazy. I know, Porsche, you said you didn't like the last CeeLo album. I like the joint with the FU. Like, I felt like he was cool in that lane, but somewhere along the line, I don't know what it is with Black folk. We just cancel people. And I maybe it was the rape thing and maybe him being on The Voice, but somewhere along the line, he just got canceled. And I didn't even get the memo. I didn't even know that CeeLo was canceled.
I think it's because he went from being like really sort of quality-oriented hip-hop to being very, very pop. And it was like very extreme for me. And I remember we did that episode about Cruz, and I actually said that the Dungeon family, I wrote them off because of CeeLo. And I remember like it was like, oh my God, how could you, this and that. And I took it back because when you listen back, CeeLo is phenomenal as an MC, like just so on point, brilliant to listen to, just love everything. But that poppy crap that he does is just so left of that you just don't want anything. I don't know. I didn't even know about the rape thing, to be honest. I just stopped liking CeeLo when he started getting all poppy and glittery, and it was just really weird. It was so weird for me. I don't know. I just didn't like it.
All right. What about you, Brett? Anything on CeeLo?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been a fan of his pop stuff, but the stuff that he did that I knew that was pop was stuff that he wrote for other people. So it didn't necessarily like have an issue, or I didn't have an issue with it. I just think I stopped checking for him due to the fact that, you know, nothing was coming out, you know, through time, you forget about people. And I think I forgot about him just based off the fact that he wasn't dropping anything during that time. You know, I'd hear some stuff that was unreleased that I was like, okay, this is dope, but there would be no follow-up to it. So I think, you know, I just lost interest.
Right. And it's funny because, like I said, I rock with this joint, The Lady Killer, but this is 2010. You know what I mean? And I don't know if he dropped anything after this, but I mean, this is the last thing that. Okay, I know he had a dope. He had a dope little EP out that was crazy. He was taking old songs from the 80s, old sitcom songs, like, you know, the opening to like Three's Company and different TV shows, and making songs out of them. That was pretty dope to me. But yeah, I don't know. He just, I guess like Rec, he kind of just like disappeared from me or whatever, like that, because Rec just disappeared. So
I mean, he's crazy talented, and I guess this ain't in his defense, but when he saw them Santana and them Gnarls Barkley and them Estelle checks, he's like, okay, yeah, y'all can have that SWAT strap. I mean, because you if you look, they had that little whack. I hate that they did that show on I forgot what station it was on, but Goody Mob was on it, and you could tell how the other group members was like bowing down to CeeLo because he's obviously well more compensated than they are, and you know, so I think he kind of went Hollywood, and hell, I can't begrudge him. You know, I'm gonna just keep playing Get Up, Get Out, and remember, you know, how it was, and he gonna keep getting them checks, and he ain't thinking about me. So, you know.
Nah, I feel you. All right, the next joint I got up. What if I told you that two very dope MCs got dropped from their label and started their own label, funded by Robin Banks, and then eventually ended up killing a female cop? One of them gets life, and the other one gets the death sentence.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yes,
that was crazy. I remember that.
Yeah, and I mean, I know for me and for people out there watching may not know, I'm talking about Steady B.
Steady B.
Out of Philly. Yeah.
When I was with Steady B, I had it all.
Right. You know, and the crazy part was this is so hard for me being from Philly. Like, these were dudes who were like my idols growing up. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, you know, and Vern, we probably all feel this way if you got MCs that are from where you're from. Like, no matter how much I love Kane and Rakim, like, I love Cool C and Steady B just as much. You know what I mean? Because they was from Philly, you know, and everything like that. And, you know, when word got the air, I remember seeing this on the news, and it was just like, yo, this is crazy. And then coming to find out that they had been robbing banks and everything like that. And, you know, and they had got dropped from their label, and they started a group called CEB. You know, I think it was Counting Endless Bank or whatever like that. And it was Steady, Cool, and I think E Marbles. And it was just like, yo, these dudes, you know, really, I mean, truth be told, these dudes really put Philly on the map. Like, what a lot of people don't know is that back when Shantae and the Juice Crew and Marley and them, they couldn't get deals in New York. They got their deal in Philly, you know, through Pop Art Records.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Cass was actually coming from New York to Philly to get record deals back in the early 80s. And, you know, Steady B, like, you know, in those days, you know, you had all the Answer records. He had an Answer record to LL called I'll Take Your Radio. You know what I mean? And then Cool C, you know, people may not know, he had a song called The Juice Crew Disc, because they felt like, yo, y'all came to Philly to get y'all start. Now y'all, you know, I guess kind of shitting on Philly. So he had Juice Crew Disc, of course, The Glamorous Life. You know, Steady B probably is best known for his remix to Serious, the KRS, the BDP remix to Serious, which was crazy. But, you know, It's crazy. One of my people's reached out to me and was like, yo, Kill, I want to kind of do a bio pick on them or whatever. And I said, yo, the only way I'm writing this movie is if 40% of this movie, we're talking about the female cop who was killed, you know, because I can't write this all about these dudes and, you know, like kind of glamorize them. And at the end of the day, they killed somebody, you know, somebody's mother, you know what I'm saying? And this kid had to grow up without a mother. So I want to, you know, look at them for what they did, but also be able to tell this mother's story of having to be a cop and, you know, being the first female cop in Pennsylvania history to get killed in the line of duty, and it coming at the hands of two of my heroes was just heartbreaking to me, man. You know, it's crazy. I did this old school 80s mix and I threw Cool C's Down to the Gristle on it. And I kind of felt some kind of way, like after I published the mix, like, damn, should I even be playing any Cool C? Like this dude, you know, killed the cop, you know, and everything like that. But, you know, just a very crazy time in hip hop. And again, I think it didn't really get the national news because they were Philly MCs. You know, of course, if this would have been like Eric B and Rakim, we'd still be talking about it to this day. Or if it was like G-Rap and Polo got, but you know, for us Philly dudes, this one hit home right there. So that's what I got. Porsche, what you got up?
Okay. Again, I'm winging it. So, okay. What if I told you that one of the most underrated rappers, who was part of a group with 3 other great rappers, had a very good solo career, put out a couple albums with the group, would go on to become sort of a hip hop soap opera reality star turned celeb, kind of gossipy podcast star. What would you say to that?
You talking about Joe?
Joe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, talking about Joe.
Yeah. You threw me with the group part at first because I'm like, what other?
I think Slaughterhouse was super promising. I think Joe Budden is phenomenal with his lyrics, with his concept albums, with just sort of. Joe has every single thing in place to have been so much better in hip hop than he was. And I think he retired to go this different avenue. And I think that's such a disservice to us fans because like now he's not putting anything out anymore. And that sucks, you know? So yeah. And I mean, he's so gossipy now with some of the stuff on his show and Love and Hip Hop, and you know, it's so weird. It's so weird to see where Joe was, where Slaughterhouse was, and then where Joe is now. To me,
Nah, I feel you. The funny thing about Joe is that, and people know I love Joe to death, and people are like, yo, but Killy corny. To me, that got nothing to do with your music. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a whole nother. You know, those are the people who need the MCs to be thorough and I don't care if you corny as hell, just come with the bars. I don't care nothing about that. Like
do they mean corny as in like what he's doing now is corny or?
I think it was just like, you know, when he first got on Love and Hip Hop, even before he retired, it was just like, and he does look like a cornball in Love and Hip Hop. Here's the thing, y'all. I don't need my MCs. I learned this probably from doing radio for 10 years because as you know, if you love hip hop, we look at these people like we just said with Steady B, they are heroes. Me meeting so many of them, half of them are assholes. So for me, half of that went out the window. But I get it. As a fan, you think, oh, there's Common, he's gonna be the coolest person in the world, and then you meet him and he's an asshole, and it's like, oh, I don't like Common no more. I guess through 10 years of that, I'm not that dude anymore. So it's like Joe is an asshole. I can tell you that. You know what I mean? He is corny, you know, but as long as the bars are there, that's all I care about. You know what I mean? So, and I think, you know, I always tell it, you know, I wasn't a big Joe Budden fan. You know, I went to this show with my peoples, the CMOP and Joe Budden, and I didn't know one word of Joe's. And it was the first time in hip hop history I ever felt left out. Like there were my peoples I came with left horse. Like it was amazing to me. I was like, yo, this dude has the whole crowd in the palm of his hands. And that night I went home and I downloaded all the Mood Musics and everything that. And again, Porsche, I think what happens is I used to be guilty of it and I challenge people now. Before you say you don't like somebody, listen to this stuff. Because you'll get into arguments on people with Twitter where it's like, oh, I don't like Joe Budden. Well, did you like Mood Music too? Oh, I never heard it. Well, what did you hear? Oh, I didn't like Pump It Up. So you heard one song and you're like, yo, he's whack. Like,
I haven't listened to Drake and I don't like Drake. So I just have to, and I'm not going to listen to Drake to figure out that I don't like him. He's a cornball.
I got you. But
I'm going to be a hypocrite with it.
Right. I get you.
It does apply to me, but I'm not going to correct that.
I definitely get you. But I think that's the thing. And I made a Best of Joe Budden mixtape, but I've had enough people come through here. They be like, man, Joe whack. I give him the mixtape. Everybody has always called me back like, yo, this dude is nice.
And
you know what I mean?
Thing, Joe is, even if you listen to Joe on his podcast, like always, and to be honest, his podcasts are so long. I've never really heard an entire episode of them. I listen to like, half an hour and then I'm good. But oftentimes he brings up his career and all he ever talks about is Pump It Up. And that's like not even the best song that Joe has, like not even close to me. And I think that that's also a disservice because he leans on the Pump It Up like success so much that he sort of cuts himself short a little bit. But I don't know if the rest of you guys are Joe fans or not, or what do you think about him? I don't know. I really like Joe. I'm a fan. I think he's dope as hell. So
Rec, what's your thoughts on Joe?
I'm still getting to know Joe as an artist, man. I'm probably the person you was talking about because I was that guy. Like I was good with Focus, and I didn't have to hear no more Joe. I listened to the first album and I was like, I'm good. But after we had that show and you put me onto that stuff, like I'm still listening to it. Joe, you got a stomach. He's an asshole. He's rude, and not everybody has the patience for that. So. It just takes you have to listen to it before you can make a sound decision on whether you like it or not, in my opinion. I agree with you because that was me early on.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. I wasn't up on those mood music mixtapes.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I wasn't really a big fan of mixtapes like that. I kind of got into those a little later. Some of his later albums, like his more recent albums, I heard, they were pretty good. And his podcast is pretty entertaining. That show he had on Complex was pretty entertaining, even though DJ Academics is a complete idiot.
Oh my goodness.
But it was entertaining. I think Joe on that platform is entertaining, whether you like him or not. I think he's found a lane that he's actually good at. And I think people not liking him actually works to his benefit because, then it winds up becoming viral. Anything he does, anything he says is viral. Right.
Yeah, he plays the heel.
Yeah. And I think, too, the other thing with Joe is, like I said, I think if I don't go to that show and I don't see 200 people literally knowing every single word and singing, because I'm sitting here like, wait a second, why this nigga got so many songs? Like, I'm like, yo, this dude just did an hour set. I'm like, yo, I'm literally at the bar like this. Like, what am I missing? So I think if you didn't put me in that environment, I probably wouldn't even rock with Joe like that. You know what I mean? But I think for me being the hip hop aficionado, it's like, how do I not know about this? Let me go home and, let me go home and listen. And then once I started listening, and y'all know me, I love people who talk about stuff that's real life. And that's Joe. Joe gonna put it all out there. Ev is one of the people who don't like Joe because he shares too much. I don't care about your relationship. I don't care about, whereas for me, I like that.
Thing. I like that too. And I think Joe is one of the realest people because he lets you into those aspects of his life that other people keep hidden. So Joe is real, whether he's on wax, whether he's freestyling, whether he's battling, whether he's on Complex, on the Joe Budden podcast, whether he's on Love and Hip Hop. He is Joe all the time. And I love that about him. He's the realest guy. I don't think anyone can ever say Joe is not real. You know what I mean? Like, Jay to me is not a real dude because Jay, on what we know of Jay through his music, is probably not what Jay is behind the scenes. But with Joe, I think he is what he is and he puts it out there, and I love that. And another thing I want to point out with Joe is 2009. Joe Budden had two studio albums released and the Slaughterhouse joint. Like, this guy works, he puts in the work. So it's crazy to me that he retired from hip hop. He's so good at it, you know? And I do have to say that he did pioneer this podcast thing for, you know, hip hop in a way.
He's there, but I always salute Combat Jack. I feel like
Combat
Jack
was
the pioneer. But I mean, he has his lane. He has his lane.
Joe does have a lane. I do agree with Combat Jack for sure. But I mean, Joe is one of the very first. He's part of the first, right? So I think that's he wasn't a pioneer or anything like that as a rapper, but in that regard, I mean, he's pretty dope for that.
Well, I will say this about Joe. Two things. If you don't think Joe is nice, YouTube Joe Budden Green Lantern freestyle. He was up there with Styles, Kiss, and Beans, and Joe tore the booth down. So that's number one. This was his last album, Rage in the Machine. Very dope album, produced by A-Rab Music, who was a dude who I always saw him, you know, doing the live stuff on the
check that out just because it's A-Rab.
But I never really thought A-Rab. I never heard a dope A-Rab beat. So when I heard this album, oh my God, this whole album for me, I probably get this 5 mics, man. Like on a great day.
I just followed him on Spotify. I'll listen in the morning.
On a great day, this is a dope album. Another thing that I will say, Porsche, that you talk about Joe pioneering. Joe pioneered using the internet for his fans.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
That's what he did because the Joe Budden TV way
hilarious.
Before, like when him and Tahiri, like y'all thinking about Tahiri from Love and Hip Hop. Niggas knew Tahiri from years ago. Yeah. And just to show you how popular his Joe Budden YouTube show was, back when they had King Magazine, the joint with all the video chicks, that video chicks would be fighting to get on the cover for. Yeah. Tahiri was on the cover based solely off of Joe Budden's YouTube channel.
Yes.
So Joe
has
really
a lot of people
pioneered the whole let me get the internet. He holds the record for selling out SOBs in New York. He holds the record for selling. Listen to me, y'all. Griselda, Eminem, he holds the record for selling out SOBs because Joe was one of those first people that when the internet popped up, he was like, yo, me and my niggas playing softball, you know, kickball out in Jersey, come through, you know, and he gave his fans access to him in a way that fans didn't have access to a lot of people. So I will
and that's what I mean. Joe is so real. Like he's so, I don't think there's any celebrity, I would even say celebrity, that is as accessible to his fans and as real as Joe is, any which way. Like he just doesn't hide behind stuff, and I love that about him. So,
all right, Greg, what you got up next?
All right, give me a second. I got to click on this real quick. I was listening to Porsche, so I moved it out the way. All right, man. So, what if I told you that this guy had a label war? You figure any label head was bidding for this guy, $1 million plus. Signs with one of the most major labels ever in the history of hip hop. Has a dope album, dope songs off the album, and then December of '99 decides to shoot up a club in his label head's defense, and it's never the same.
Yeah, here's the wild part. I never liked Shine. I never got the hype. Never got the hype. The whole he sounds like Biggie. Yeah. I just felt like that was just, and I get it. Puff was like dying. He was like drowning in water.
He was drowning for sure.
And he needed something. And the whole he sounds like Big, never did it for me.
Right.
It's funny because Vern, I don't know if you knew this rapper. I think his name was PBJ or BBJ.
BBJ, tried to sound like
BBJ,
Big.
Oh, talking about Gorilla Black?
Yeah, he was a no. He was a BBJ. He was a gospel rapper. You ain't missed nothing, bro. But he sounded like Big, and most people know I'm not big into Christian rap. And people would, and when Dude came out, they was like, "Kill, you gotta hear this dude. He sound like Biggie." And I'm like, this whole like I'm like the gospel people doing it, the secular people are doing it. Everybody trying to find somebody who likes, like, you know, who sounds like Big. I was never a Sean fan. I like that one song, but to what I said earlier, I have to say this: I never even listened to the album. So for all I know, Sean's debut may be a 5 mic classic.
The album,
I just never heard.
The album is not bad. I never thought he sounded like Big. I took it for what it was. You know what I'm saying? Sean was okay. He was all right. But in the element of a 30 for 30, I'll watch this shit. If it's Sean,
Yeah.
I'll watch it for sure.
I'll watch it because didn't he become like a Jew? Like,
So he's a Hasidic Jew. He got deported to Belize.
Man, Puffy
And,
be making jokers
Yeah,
change.
he got deported to Belize after he did his bid, and then in the research I was checking, he just March of 2019 he was trying to run for political office in Belize. I haven't heard anything
Wow.
after the fact. I was trying to find whether he won or whatever the case. I couldn't find anything.
Man,
Loon's a Muslim locked up, G Dep
Yeah.
locked up, Mesa
Yeah.
pastor,
Yeah.
this dude
yeah,
in Belize.
bad boy.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
Man,
yeah.
I know Keisha from Total. Glad she married Omar.
Man. And it's crazy because their stories are so wild. It's like the only one who actually was able to get out, not necessarily unscathed, but with some sort of sanity, was the Locks. The Locks was the only ones who was able to fight their way out and at least keep their name alive. Everybody else, like you said, look at G-Dep. G-Dep, his heart was hurting because that dude confessed to murder. He walked in the police station and was like, "Yo, I killed a man."
Yeah. It's funny you
15
say
years
that with
after
the
the
Locks. It's funny you say that with the Locks. Like, I'm wondering if that's like because they won it off. You know, like
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody else
yeah.
who was on Bad Boy who won it.
And really won it off. Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
you know those cats fought for that. Eddie, what you got up next, brother?
All right. What if I told you one of the dopest producers up and coming produced for the top MC in the game, signed to his label, released dope albums, spoke out publicly on TV against the US president, then becomes full-blown MAGA.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
Yo,
Jesus.
you know what? This may be, and I'm serious, y'all out there. Y'all better not bite this and run to the bank with this, because I can see Complex or somebody being like,
Oh, it's gonna happen.
He's
It's gonna happen on Tuesday.
Yeah, but
Right.
the bare minimum is take us with you. You know what I mean? Pat our pockets too, because Eddie, you're right. We need we may need that more than anything else we ever gonna get.
Yeah, man.
On Ye.
Good one, Eddie.
He hurt my heart. Man.
I've always said his mother dying. I think
Yes, sir.
that right there was like the domino. That was the first one, and I'm sure he probably blamed himself to some extent. Like, yo, I paid. Like, if I didn't have the money, then this wouldn't have happened. I think Jay had a similar instance with he brought his nephew a car, and his nephew got killed in the car accident.
Yep.
So it's one of those things. But ever since his mom, died, I just think it's been him searching, kind of clawing and grabbing on anything. And I tell people this. I remember when Amy Winehouse was alive, and she would be on shows and doing horrible performances, and I used to laugh. And it wasn't until after a couple of years ago I watched the documentary and saw how much pain she was going through. And really began to understand mental health issues that people have. And when people try to clown on you, I'm just like, yo, pray for him. You know what I mean? Like, if you listen, he tells you. I think on that one of them albums, he says something. You ever seen a nigga when he ain't on his Lexapro? Like, this dude is again, and no way joking with it, is not right upstairs. And if you at home watching, or any of us are right upstairs, we need to be thankful for that, because it's a lot of folk out here who aren't. So I've always said that I think his mom dying, that it was just downhill, because I want to say that was the time he showed up at the awards with Amber Rose. He was drunk, he had the Hennessy in his hand, and that may have been the whole Beyonce deserves this award, not Taylor Swift. I want to say it was that show, and after that, kind of just went downhill. You know what I mean? But what you think about good old Ye, Porsche?
I mean, I think you nailed it. I think I would attribute it to his mother passing away as well, and that's traumatic. I mean, it's not something to take lightly, and it's not. It does definitely have effects and repercussions and consequences on people's mental health and the way they cope and deal. And I think, I mean, just the way I love the way Eddie worded it, because Kanye was all of that. He was the top tier producer. He did work with the top tier artists. And to see where he was and where he is now is so far removed from, I don't even know. Like, I want to say it's being so pro Trump and this whole mega Kanye is so far removed from the culture and hip hop that I don't know. Like, it's very weird that I would, and it's sad, to be honest, but I would attribute it to that particular instance in his life. I don't know. I mean, there's not much more to say about it. I've chosen not to support Kanye anymore further. And that's been since 808s. That album was the last album I purchased, and I won't even listen to anything after that. But yeah, I mean, it is sad. It's sad.
Yeah. And I think too, and I was watching this thing on Netflix, that hip hop joint they got, the producer episode, and it's been so long. I forget this dude almost died in a car accident with the Through the Wire. So I think this dude has been through, and as a lot of black folk and a lot of people in general, but I can only speak for black folk, we go through huge issues that we never deal with. You know what I mean? And almost dying in a car accident is huge. You know what I mean? Like, losing your mom is huge. Like I don't know if, I feel like that's why one of the reasons that black folk go through a lot of stuff is because, I mean, my kids at 17 have gone through more heartache in their life than I have in 46 years, and have never dealt with it, have never talked about it. It's just been like, oh, your best friend got killed in front of you. Okay, well, go to school on Monday. You know what I mean? Like, there's never any time for people to kind of go through these things. So, heal. And that's the key thing. It's almost like we see with athletes, it's like, tear your Achilles, but then keep on playing. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you don't get that year to just sit out, rehab, get right, and then come back to the court. It's like you don't have time because you're paying all your family's bills. So if you cancel this tour to heal, I'm missing out on $5 million. So and I can't do that.
Or contract duties, right? Like we don't know what kind of contracts they're signed to and what they're held to. So they have to sort of deliver, and it's binding. So
Right.
Yeah, I think with Kanye, I feel like he's had the moments very publicly, and everyone just kind of laughed it off. The whole George Bush doesn't care about black people, live on that Katrina, right? That was the Katrina telethon. And then the whole Taylor Swift, I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce had the greatest album of all time, right? We laugh at those, I don't think anyone really thought about, whether he was suffering something or having a mental health issue or anything else. I think, everyone just kind of looked at him like, he's, it's just Kanye being Kanye, until the whole MAGA thing. Now because that's something that really deeply affects people. Now people start to think about it like, whoa.
Yeah. And the wild part, Eddie, that you bring that up is that the George Bush doesn't care about black folk. I never thought of that being a mental health issue. I actually was saying to people that's the hardest shit I've ever seen a rapper do. You know what I mean? Because it's what I'm like, y'all want to talk about toting guns and all that crap. Nah, Ye just did the hardest thing ever, because that's what people, and I almost felt like that may have been the last of Ye, because I felt like Ye was one of the reasons I loved Ye was because he was against the grain. Yep. You know what I mean? He brought me back to a time in hip hop that I tell people that you didn't have to be a lyrical assassin. Right. Like, he brought me back to the Kwame's, the Kid and Plays. Like, Ye could rhyme, but he was never I never looked at Ye like I want bars. You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna talk about, All Falls Down, about self-esteem and the diamonds from Sierra Leone. Like, I felt like that's why I rocked with Ye, because it was like, I almost felt like he was like, am I really gonna do this? Okay, George Bush don't care about black people. Am I really gonna do this? All right, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna hold it down for the people. And then it just kind of went downhill like that. But again, like, I tell people, pray for him, and because you can even see now with the Sunday services, now people like, Kill it. Anytime it's a Christian question, people come to me, Kill, what you think about Ye being a Christian? I think it's great. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm glad for the boy, and if I know nobody wants to listen to it, but that Sunday service album that he is not on is incredible. Some of the dopest gospel music I've heard in the past 10 years. So I love the album. I play it at least 3-4 times a day, a week. But I do know a lot of people, like, on my Twitter feed, was like, nah, Kel, can't listen to it, even if he's not on it. Just the fact that his name is assigned to it anywhere, I can't rock with it. So I definitely feel you. Vern, which one you got, good brother?
All right, I want to talk on Kanye for a second, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, do your thing, man.
I remember. I used to think his name was Kane West. I used to see him in the magazines and stuff. And I remember the cat I work with. He was like, "Man, you should check this CD out. I think you'll like this guy." Man, when I heard that College Dropout, it took me all the way back to Tribe and that feeling. Man, he was a regular dude talking about regular stuff, self-deprecating. You know, he wasn't. He didn't think too highly of himself. He could joke on himself. I mean, the skits and everything was funny. And I remember, man, him, John Legend, a couple other cats came to Centennial Olympic Park. It was a free concert. I got my daughter, she was like 4 or 5 years old, on my shoulders, and we rocking the Jesus Walk, man. And I mean, that I loved him at that time, the way I felt about Tribe and all that stuff. And then the next album was cool. The next album was cool. I remember I bought 808, and I was like, man, what is this? And then after that, it was over. And it's kind of sad, you know, how people talk about, I miss the old Kanye. I know he's not coming back for all the reasons that you all have named, man, but it's just sad to see that where he's ended up. And like I said, I don't want to know how it feels to lose your mom. So I can only imagine what that does for you. And you magnify that with being in the limelight,
Yes,
being in Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure this is just me. I'm sure, like you said, I believe he paid for it. So I'm sure he's blaming himself for that, you know. So it's a lot going on. And like you say, Kill, we just got to pray for him. But I'm like you, Porsche, after 808, I couldn't tell you nothing he made, because
yeah, me neither.
I mean, I started seeing him ranting and going off, and I was like, yeah, something ain't right with this guy. And I know it has to do with his mom not being here. So I kind of checked out on him on that.
No doubt. What you got for us, though, Vern? Your next joint.
All right. So what if I told you that one of the forefathers of gangster rap would form a heavy metal group, make a song? If I say that, you'll know. But
right,
end up being known more for being a police officer and making an album called Cop Killer.
right. Yo, here's the wild thing. I tell people this all the time. Ice-T's biography, incredible read.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta read
Very, very dope book. You know what I'm saying? And I was never a big Ice-T fan. I'm not one of them hip hoppers that like, like I heard 6 in the morning and you know, New Jack Hustler and stuff like that. But I was a fan of the album covers. You know what I mean? In the back of the album covers. But I can't sit here and tell you like I was ever an Ice-T fan. I remember seeing him in Breaking back in '84.
Yeah, he was rapping in Breaking.
I could never tell you that I was a big fan. But reading the book, was a very dope book. And like you said, Vern, it's crazy that he is now more known for playing a cop on Law and Order than anything else. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I definitely, I definitely feel you on that.
You just made me remember, man. I almost got into a fight over Ice-T.
What happened?
I was in college working at Federal Home Loan Bank, and this dude Lenny, man, Ice-T is the best rapper. I'm like, man, you out your mind. And we cussing each other out, man. I mean, like how people be doing on Twitter.
Right.
Let's take it outside. So
wow.
we go outside, and the whole bank looking at us out the window. Of course, we didn't do nothing. And then he kind of shut me up because the next week, the Source magazine rapper of the year, Ice-T. Yeah, I'm like,
what source was this?
Man,
Source magazine?
This was like 91, 92.
I want to know what Ice paid them, because how he was MC of the year in 1992.
Right.
Yeah, he was on the cover of the Source. And I mean, I laugh when I think about how dumb I was about to get in a fight over who was the best rapper. But, you know, Twitter, they still do it.
Right. Yeah. No doubt. Anybody else with thoughts on Ice-T?
Nah, man, Scotty, help me. Scotty, help!
I like him in that movie with The Rock, Surviving the Game.
It's definitely weird to me that because Ice-T is a pioneer, like Vern said, of gangster rap, and he's just got so much material, whether it's books or just discography, that some people don't know him as a music, like anything to do with music. So there are people in this world who only know Ice-T from TV, and that is so bizarre to me. And he gets into it all the time on Twitter. People come at him left, center, and right on Twitter about this, and he's always like, "You don't know that I was like, you don't know that like go check out my like discography. Go check out this book. And I think that's so bizarre because he is so I think he is such a foundation of hip hop and just everything. Like I've got an immense amount of respect for Ice-T. I love Ice-T. I don't spin his albums very often, but there is no denying his contributions to hip hop. There is absolutely no denying that.
It's funny.
His Twitter account is so entertaining.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
The best follow for quotes for, I think he has like, I don't know, these PSAs he puts out, the arguments he gets into with fans. People come at him left all the time and he has no problem putting people in their place. Like, follow Ice-T. If you don't follow Ice-T, follow Ice-T because he's dope on Twitter too.
I think too, Porsche, with younger folk, you know what I mean? My teens or people who are probably 25 or younger, when I say Eddie Murphy, they think of Donkey from Shrek. You know they literally don't know Beverly Hills Cop. They don't know Ball. They know. Same thing with my kids with Ice Cube after they saw Straight Outta Compton, like Mr. Kill, like, are we there yet? And Barbershop was a gangster rapper. So, you know, you have this new generation of kids who do look at Ice Cube as the dude who is in Are You There Yet? In Barbershop movies and courtside at the Lakers game, you know, and they know Snoop as being, you know, down with Martha Stewart. Like, you know, and I guess, I don't know if, I guess it is good because, you know, these rappers aren't broke. They created a lane for themselves, like you said, with Joe, you know, coming out of hip hop, you know, what we want to see a lot of athletes do. We don't want to see athletes go broke. We want to see them be able to go on and be, you know, commentators and other things. And I guess more hip hop people are doing that. And I guess eventually you do have to go away from what got you here. You know, I mean, I don't want an Ice Cube album in 2020, like, you know, fuck the police, you know, like, dog, you're a millionaire. Like, you don't have the same problems, you know, and the same thing with Snoop, you know, so it's a great thing, but you're right, you know, it is crazy to see people who aren't for what we know them for, to see what other people know them for. I always tell people, you know, I got to convince my kids Fat Joe is from the Bronx and not from Miami because they swear he is from Miami. It's like, that's Khaled's brother. You know, I'm like, they're not related. they're not related. He's not from Miami, but yeah, that's all they know him for is that. Does anybody have any like a solid one left that y'all got to get out? Anyone?
I don't have to get them out.
Yeah, I don't have to get them out.
I got them.
I don't have to get them out either.
I got one that I want to say. What if I told you the dopest hip hop group and the dopest at the time and the dopest squad at the time would fall apart because someone decided to get one of the members robbed?
I knew that's where you was going. That's why I didn't put it on mud. I knew somebody was gonna have it.
Now here's the thing, yo. I've seen the unsungs. I've seen interviews. I still don't know, did E get P robbed? Has Parrish ever come out and say, yes, Erick Sermon got me set up and got my crib robbed? Has that ever come out?
To my knowledge, no. I know the police have said that based on the you know the information they have, but as far as P actually saying that, I haven't seen it.
And see, that's what I need. And I mean, I know they can because I know Eric can't say it, but those are one of those fly on the wall. Like, I want to know what happened between E and P. I'm gonna just say this, and Eric, if you, God forbid you, I mean, not God forbid, prayerfully you're watching and get you on one day, but there's no diss to you, but let's just say Eric did do it. I need to know what happened. Like, what happened between E and P that these, and again, I've always wondered this with hip hop groups because as fans, we look at it, and I was just about to say, how could you get your best friend robbed? I don't know if E and P were best friends. You know what I mean? They could have been associates. You know, they could have just been cool. I don't know if they were besties. Just because you're in a group together doesn't mean you have to be best friends. But I've always just been intrigued, like, what happened that made E say, yo, I'm going to get my man set up and get his crib robbed? Like, did P do something to him? Did he try to crack on his girl? Like, what happened to even set this thing in motion? And then the crazy thing was, I've always wondered about forgiveness, because, you know, being a Christian, you know, I'm always beating the head with kill. You got to forgive. You got to forgive him. To me, forgiving doesn't mean we got to be friends again.
Right.
You know, it doesn't mean I got to, you know, when people hear forgiveness, they're like, oh God, I got to forgive Portia. Now we got to hang out every day. No, I got to forgive Portia so that it's not weighing on my soul to, you know, hold something against her. But it's not about them being friends again. But the fact that EMP were then able to go and try this again. You know, we've had albums after this has happened. And I need to know about that forgiveness. That's some old, they need to go to church and talk about, that's a testimony right there. Like, yo, this is how I forgave him for getting me robbed. I mean, having me tied up and pistol whipped and everything. Like, I need EMP to go to church and testify on that. And then I need Ghost and Ray to go and do the same. Because I still don't know.
It's not funny. I'm sorry that I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at the situation.
No,
it's just so wild that it's almost like comical in a way. It's just weird.
It is, because when I first saw the Wu series, I was like, nah, they embellishing that for TV. And then you got Papa Wu talking about, nah, Ghost, you know, Ray shot up Ghost Crib. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, yo, how do y'all forget this shooting up house stuff? Like, I'm new to this. Like, y'all need to be the folk up in church testifying on Sunday about how to forgive. Because I still need to understand that, you know. So, and then the crazy thing, it was the Hit Squad. Like, yo, this is the dopest hip hop crew right now with Das Effects and Redman and K Solo, and all of that falls apart, and it just was never the same. I never felt like the Def Squad was as big as the Hit Squad could have been. I always felt like it kind of was just like Redman, you know what I mean? And then, you know, I guess PMD stayed with Das, and like neither one of them ever really, you know, got back to their plateau. So just the fact that, you know, it all fell apart over E getting P robbed, you know, it's just crazy to me. And then like after that, then E moved to Atlanta out of nowhere. Like it was like, all right, I'm you know, deuces, I'm out. You know what I mean? Like on some shit like that, which is wild too, because Porsche, I don't know if you finished that Juice Crew book, but they was talking about how G-Rap had like some real gangsters had a hit out on him. Like, I didn't know this. It was like, yo, G-Rap had a hit out on him, like a real life.
Oh, wow. I didn't get to that part.
Yeah, like, and that's why he ended up moving to Arizona. Like, and one of the record labels heads was like, yeah, I went to, you know, G-Rap's crib on a Sunday, and then like the next day I went back and the whole crib was gone. Like, he just like moved, you know? So again, like, I always wondered, like, E moving to Atlanta, was that something from the whole PMD thing? Like, yo, I got to get out of New York. You know what I mean? So I really, really, really want a 30 for 30 for that. And then the last one I had is, what if I told you one of the dopest MCs from one of the biggest groups ever would drop a 5 Mic classic album and then follow it up with one of the worst hip hop albums ever made and not make another dope album for 14 years?
I don't know who that one is.
Yeah.
That's a good one, kid.
You started off and I was thinking Jada Kiss. And then you threw me with 14 years because Jada
Biggest hip hop crews.
What if I told you one of the dopest MCs from one of the dopest groups ever would drop a 5 Mic classic debut album and then follow it up with one of the worst hip hop albums and then not make another dope album for 14 years?
Yeah, I'm stumped.
Yeah, I thought it was Ray or yeah.
Yeah.
Ray.
Good old Ray. I need a 30. I need a 30 for 30 for this. I need a 30 for 30 for what happened in between this and Immobilarity. I need to know what happened. Like, did RZA have a falling out? What happened? How do you go from only built for Cuban links, which some people may say? I've heard some people say this is the greatest. I've heard some people say, fuck Illmatic. This is the greatest hip hop album.
That's
ever.
my favorite hip hop album ever. Period.
It's arguable. You can argue that.
How do you follow this up with Immobilarity? How does this happen? I need answers. This is right up there with Nas. I need answers. I done seen a million Vlad interviews with Ray and every Lord Jamal. What happened? I need to. But
here's the thing. Here's the thing. There's a theory, because there's a whole school of people who feel like that was a group album, you know, a solo album in name only, but it was pretty much a group album. And if you have that school of thought, then Iron Man would be the unofficial follow-up, because that was Ghost and Ray, and then you just added Capadonna. But yeah, I mean, I think that the follow through with that album, I mean, Ray was still spitting on that album. They still had, you know, all the RZA beats and all that. Still had that chemistry. Maybe Ray just couldn't do it on his own. And I can't remember Immobilarity, like what kind of features were there, but maybe RZA wasn't really producing that one.
Well, no, RZA didn't do nothing on that. RZA didn't do anything.
I mean, Cuban Links dropped in 95. Immobilarity dropped in 99.
Right.
So there's 4 years in between. And I think it was just focus. Like, to be honest, like if you look at the entire, I mean, we could do an entire 30 for 30 show just on the Wu-Tang Clan on its own, because there's so much in there. In like, if I was going to think about this, I would think that the reason is there was each Wu member was being utilized as guest features and verses and trying to build their own solo career, that I think there was like a divided attention. Does that make sense? So there was really no, I think when Immobilarity dropped, the focus was very different. It was like, okay, well, I'm trying to maybe get out of, I'm trying to maybe stretch my wings and go beyond just the RZA's production. And I think that sort of fell apart because we love the Wu debut solos because the RZA produced them and they were so dope with beats and each member knew what they were bringing to that because they're so comfortable with it. That's what I think happened. I think it was just a lot of trying to get out of the clan and kind of do their own thing once they had this following and sort of kind of like a celebrity status. And then, and I think they kind of got lost somewhere. Immobilarity was a giant disappointment to me.
Yeah. Giant. I mean, the wild part is you hear, and I know that we hold Nas to a higher standard than Ray, of course, but the way I hear people talk about It Was Written is almost how I hear people talk about Immobilarity. Like, I know people who are like, yo, It Was Written was whack. And I'm like, word? Like, how do y'all, but I know a lot of people who really believe that. And I'm like, when you look at Only Built for Cuban Links and then Immobilarity, it's almost just like, yo, how, again, I need to know what happened. I'm assuming because 99 Porsche is after Wu-Tang Forever. So, of course, I'm sure there's some type of falling out with the RZA, everything like that. Lex Diamond story came out in 2003. I mean, whatever. Shaolin versus Wu, but, Only Built, the part 2 was 2009. And again, it wasn't even a lot of RZA beats. To be honest with you, it was more. Well, I think RZA did like 3 or 4, but my favorite joints on here are Dilla joints. The first single, The House of the Flying Daggers, and Surgical Gloves by Alchemist. Pete on here with Sonny's Missing. So this showed that you didn't have to have RZA, in order to put out a dope album. But yeah, I just really need to know because nobody's ever talked about Immobilarity. You know what I mean? I guess just out of love for Ray, we just try to act like it didn't happen. You know what I mean? And we just do a Men in Black moment, like, just close your eyes. This never happened. But no, it did happen. So that's my thing. Vern, what are your thoughts on Ray or anything?
I don't really have no thoughts on that one. I'm sorry. But you know I ain't gonna get in here in front like, if I really was feeling something or into something, and if I wasn't. So yeah, I'm gonna pass this one.
All right, Greg, what about you? Any thoughts on Ray?
I mean, you posed the right question because those albums in between we weren't checking for. I mean, the only reason I knew about the joint that came out in 2003 was because my homie had a track on it. But other than that, I don't even think I've heard anything besides Sneakers.
Right. And it was Pete Rock.
Yeah. It just I don't know, man, for somebody who is in that regard of MCs that we consider great, it's just like we talked about it earlier, like with Nas. Nas he can make a phone call and any producer worth their chops is gonna jump at the chance. And I feel the same as with Raekwon. Like if he made one phone call, I'm sure producers would have been like, yo, I got something for you.
Here's the thing, right? Ray could put out one tweet.
Yeah.
Saying, yo,
I need beats.
I'm looking for beats. And this dude's email would be flooded in the first 8 minutes. With A+ beats.
You know what? The person who I could say who does that well, and it's off topic a little bit, is 50. 50 is known for taking cats that don't nobody know and take the hottest shit and run with it. 50 is nowhere near as lyrically gifted as a Raekwon, and people don't look at that model. He could have easily done something like that and had some great projects throughout that 14-year time span, but for whatever reason, it just did not happen. And I'm with you. I need to know why, because I feel like we're getting the short end of the stick. You know, the time has passed. We're not going to get grade A Raekwon. I think at this point we'll get a solid B plus, but we're not going to get the Raekwon we used to having from the 90s. And it's sad.
I just thought about this, and y'all tell me what you think. So watching the Wu documentary, Ray was one of the main ones screaming about, "No, Divine, you ain't getting 20%. I want all of it." Blah blah blah. You ever thought that maybe he doesn't want A-line producers because he want most of the money?
Possibly.
Here's the wild part with that, bro. But here's the thing: Ray could put right now on Twitter, "I ain't paying y'all niggas nothing," straight up and down. He could be like, "I'm not paying." And if you think I ain't gonna be up in here in the studio and my hard drive sending this dudes them beats that I've been saving till I get meet Nas one day, or just, people gonna be sending them hit they grade A ain't been stepped on. Nothing. People gonna be sending that pure coat.
I'm gonna call Phil. Just to email mine, like, yo, did you send your email?
Just to be able to say I produce for Ray, and in hopes that maybe I'll get put on. Ray could make a 5-mic album production wise. Now, like you said, Rick, I don't know lyrically what we're gonna get, but he could get a 5-mic production wise album made in 2020 for nothing. For zero. So if you want to keep all the money, you keep all the money in the world that you want. It's why I respect Rock Marciano. He said, "Yo, I will be going to these A-list producers, listening to their beats and the stuff they was trying to sell me. Like, I know that ain't the shit you playing for Jay. I know that's not the shit y'all playing for Nas. So you know what? I'm gonna just make my own damn beats because y'all niggas not gonna get over on me. You know what I mean? Now and start this whole generation of just looping. You know what I mean? But it worked for Rock. You know what I mean? And I think too, I don't know if we'll get Ray because I almost feel like Griselda took their place. You know, I feel like, and there's always going to be enough room for a Lox and a Jada and all of that. But I feel like Griselda right now has, if you into that drug street shit, that's who you looking for. You're not even looking for Ray no more. You know what I mean? And when I hear Ray on Griselda stuff, he sounds great. You know what I mean? Yeah. He sounds great on Griselda stuff. You know, but then when it's time to do your own stuff, I don't know if you don't want to give Derringer no money or you don't want to. I mean, their loops, God damn it, is not rocket science. I mean, we are not talking about truncating drums and programming. It's literally like just listen to some soul music and find a goddamn loop and hit start and record and just loop it. And
man, it is easier than you think.
There's something to be said for hunger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
And I think, you know, with our what do I call them? Our established artists that I had a name for, but I don't remember it. I mean, he gets hungry when he's around the Griselda cats because he feels that energy, you know. Right. But when it's just him in the studio, it's got like a boxer. You know, you fought to get out of the hood, out the mud or whatever, and you won, and now you got a $40 million crib. You ain't training as hard as you were. I mean, number one, you're older, and then what are you fighting for? You got all the money that you could ever dream of, so there's no hunger there. And
here's the thing I will say. I never want to be in another man's pocket, but I just have a feeling that a lot of these rappers that we grew up loving, they are now at that child going to college, mortgage about to get, you about to get evicted. That needs to be some hunger. Because I'm going to just assume that them divine checks and cutting the Wu checks 18 different ways, you know, ain't, you know, the same as what maybe we think. So you're right. You're 100% right that a lot of these cats don't have hunger. But I do want to say, man, I wish, like Eb would say, if the hunger ain't there, then stop. Like if the checks are still coming in from the royalties or whatever y'all are doing, y'all don't have to rap no more. I don't think Ray is under contract to any major label. I could be wrong. I don't know. But if he's not, you ain't got to rap no more. You know what I mean? I will not be mad if Ray does not drop another album ever again in life. I'm not going to be sitting up here like I need another Ray album. Yeah. Oh, Lord. And on that note, great segue, Vern, into the ending of the show. Does anybody care about this Jay Electronica album? For me, I'm at the point where just drop the album. You should have just dropped the album.
Yep.
When I saw Jay Electronica trending, I should have clicked on it, and it should have been like album out right now. Go to iTunes, get it. For you telling me you made it in 40 days and 40. Okay, Noah. Thank you, my nigga. Thank you, Noah. We appreciate your artwork, your art penmanship. That it took 40 days and 40 nights. But at the end of the day, and here's the thing for me, I've never been a Jay Electronica fan.
Right.
And what I mean by that is like somebody was asking me last night, like, Kill, you didn't like Do You Want More? And I said, yeah, I like Do You Want More, the Roots, but I wasn't a fan until Philadelphia. So for me, at least in the 90s, that there was times that there was so much good music. I like stuff, but I just because I like it didn't mean I was a fan. Same thing with Tribe. I like People's Instinctives. I didn't become a fan until Low End Theory. So the fact that I've heard a lot of Jay Electronica verses, like, yo, Exhibit C was 2009, my nigga. Like, that's 11 years ago. Like, a child was born, and this child is now in, like, 4th grade. Like, I can't be a fan of somebody who's never had out an album. And really only had out verses throughout the year. Now, I will say, I've never heard Jay Electronica come whack on a verse. I've never heard that. But at the same token, I can't say that I'm a fan of somebody for that. So for me, I'll listen, and people like, oh, Kill, I'll listen to it. Nigga, no, I'll listen to it too, but I'm not hyped for it. It's not like I'm gonna be like the week of, I'm like, oh, like I'm shaking and like, okay, Jay, okay, it's almost midnight, like, where is it? I'll listen to it, but it ain't, knocking down my door. Vern, I'm assuming you're with me, but Vern, how do you feel about the new Jay?
Okay, so first of all, he's nice, but I mean, people, Jay fans, Stan Swallowers, whatever you want to call them, they act like he invented air. I'm like, those are some nice verses, but I mean, good God, I'm missing something. There must be more, whatever. And I feel like I think because of his fans /stans/ swallowers, he has an overinflated sense of his worth or his need. Like we waiting on him to come. And I said it on Twitter on day 41. Them Jay Electronica stands are gonna be like Will Smith on Fresh Prince in the living room hugging Uncle Phil. How come you don't want me no more, man? Man. I mean, Jay Electronica is Lucy and Charlie Brown. I'm gonna kick it this time. And it full of the way. Man, just be gone, bro. You ain't that dope. You haven't changed hip hop enough to act like you do. And that's my feelings on it.
Yeah, exactly. Ed, I'm gonna get to you because you made the tweet. Was it you who said, does the 30 and over crowd even care, and does the 30 and under crowd even know?
That's good.
I know. I think, Ed, if you didn't say that it was something that we were tagged in, but that's the question. Like, does the 30 and over crowd care, and do the 30 and under even know what a Jay Electronica is? But what are your thoughts on it, Ed?
Yeah, no, I tweeted something similar. I tweeted, it's been over 11 years since he dropped Exhibit C. How we know can't he even rap anymore? You know what I mean? I mean, what are the expectations? If the expectations are Exhibit C, then y'all gonna be disappointed. And the thing is that this is not the first time that he teased that his album was done. Right. We still haven't gotten anything yet. So what Vern is saying, absolutely. If it drops, cool. Let someone else listen to it. I'll get the report back. You tell me it's dope. I might check it out, man. But until then, I'm just like, all right, dude, I don't believe him. Like, I ain't falling for the okie doke. And to be honest, like, there was a point in time when I was probably hyped for a Jay Electronica album, and that ship has sailed. I'm cool.
Yeah. Nah, what about you, right?
So I think that his 11-year-old kid put him up to this. He has a child that's 11 with Badu. So we'll see, man. I'm with y'all. I'm not hyped for it anymore. That ship has sailed. I put it to you like this. I've knocked out half of my military career in the time I've been waiting on the Jay Electronica album.
Well, and there's a whelp. Well, there you go. There you go. If you done knocked out half your career, then you good brother are correct. Porsche, what about you?
I'm not on this Jay Electronica bandwagon. I laugh at it. It is pure entertainment for me on Twitter when any of these Jay Electronica tweets come out. don't think it's going to drop. Personally, I think the fans are hilarious, and I love everybody for it, because I just sit there scrolling and laughing at all this excitement and everyone waiting on it. I personally will not check it out. I will probably log out and off of Twitter probably for 2 weeks until the hype dies down, because I don't even want to, or just mute the words Jay and electronica and have my Twitter be blank. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not checking for it. I'm not excited about it. I don't care. Jay Electronica is dope on the verses, like you said. Nothing against, like, it's not about quality or ability, I should say. I don't know about quality. I'm just saying about ability. We know there's an ability, or there was. But I think when you've taken the fans on a ride for this long, it's just kind of, I mean, if I was a fan, like if I'm just saying, I don't know, my favorites like Nas or Jay or whatever, teased an album for 11 years and still continued to tease it, I would almost be like mad at it. I would be like, you know what, just off of principle, screw you and this album dropping. I'm not going to support it. Just because it's sort of like, what do you take me for? Like, I'm not just a sitting duck waiting for you. Like, stop it, you know? And I think that there should be a give and take with fans. Fans should be very patient and not like sort of be selfish about it. But I also think that artists shouldn't take advantage of fan bases either. I don't think that's fair. So I wish all the fans, you know, well, and I hope that album that
you wish them good luck.
I do wish them good luck. I think I'll be waiting another 40 years and 40 nights for that album, but I do not think it will drop, but we'll see.
Here's the thing.
But sorry.
Go ahead.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny how everyone on Twitter trying to dissect the tweets. They're like, "Oh man, look, Just Blaze responded, and Jay-Z liked every single tweet."
Alchemist said something too.
And it's like, come on, y'all gonna fall for it? Like, really? That y'all Twitter detectives really thinking like, man, they just setting themselves up. Yeah. That's how I feel.
Hey, Jay, go ahead, Kill.
No, I was gonna say and here's the thing: the Jay Electronica album I wanted was the Jay Electronica album that would have dropped in 2010, being produced by a Just Blaze.
Yes.
During that time, that's the Jay Electronica album I wanted. I don't want a 2020 produced by I don't know who, by this dude ain't rhymed a whole 3 verses song and God knows how long. So that's number one. Number two, somebody sent me a tweet and it was an OK Player link. So I'm looking at it and it has the track listing and I'm like, da, 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 da. Then I look at the date. The date was 2012. So I didn't even know that he had a whole nother album that was supposed to drop. I'm thinking I'm seeing a track listing for this new album, and this is from 2012. And here's the thing, y'all. Since we did this 30 for 30 app, I need a 30 for 30 app on Jay Electronica fans. I need to know what it is that this man has done.
Yes.
And I'll give him Exhibit A and Exhibit C. This man has had 2 songs out.
Yeah.
And a whole rack of verses that were dope. A whole bunch of 16s. I mean, the joint he did on Prime, the joint he had on Ski Beats album, the joint he did on Chances, not the last album, but the one before that.
Yep. To the joint to Leaves album.
I've heard some amazing verses.
Yeah, the Reflection Eternal.
Right, the Reflection Verses joint.
Rhapsody and Fonte.
Right, so again, but what is it that has had? I got waiting for D'Angelo for 20 years, because he gave you Brown Sugar. You know what I mean? Like, he gave you an album. Like, I even got the Detox because at least you got the Chronic and you got 2001. But for Jay Electronica fans, I need a 30 for 30. What is it about this man that has you all waiting 11 years?
I got an answer for you, Kill.
What you got, man?
Erykah Badu's Perfume, yo. You sprayed that shit in the air. Coronavirus. We all swallowing and standing for it.
Hey,
there you go. Vern, what you was about to say?
So all the Jay stands out there, Jay Electronica. When Daddy kept saying, I'm gonna be there on this Friday to pick you up, and we're gonna go to Six Flags.
Oh my God, Vern.
I'm gonna get you them Jordans.
I'm coming. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Sit outside.
You stayed on that porch all night till Mama made you come home.
Your homeboy
Hey man,
hey
you
man,
a
why y'all
man now,
stop?
man. You grew up and you
Yeah,
did it
come
without him. You don't need him, man.
Oh man. Woo. My dad coming to get me, y'all. I'll hang out with y'all next week.
Yo.
Oh,
And on
It's
that
sad to
note,
see grown men act like they do about rappers, man. I don't understand it, bro. I don't
see, y'all
get
be
it.
thinking I be joking when I say this is why I'm in the hood fighting a good fight to get men to stay in the households. I'm
Yes,
telling you,
yes.
a lot of these J Electronica folk do not have fathers
I
around.
showed my wife your tweet.
And it's joking to an extent, but then it's also serious
Yeah,
to an
It's
extent.
serious.
These dudes do not have. I was at a school about 6-7 years ago, and I was like, "Yo, who's a male role model to y'all?" And one dude was like, "Kevin Garnett," and I was like, "Yeah, that's cool, but like somebody that you know." And they was like, "Kill, you talking about a man in my community or in my family who's doing right?" And I was like, "Yeah." They was like, "Yeah, no." No. I'm gonna stay with Kevin. I'm gonna stay with Kevin. I'm gonna stay with Kevin Garnett. And again, it's sad, and I joke about it, but I'm serious about it because I'm telling you. And again, y'all, for people watching, if you waiting for J Electronica, we're not calling you stands, but there are some of you all who are literally have like figured out the release date and have called out of work already. Like have already put in. If you put in the leave slip already, then we talking about you. Okay, just know that because if you put in the leave slip and you done took vacation, just know y'all the stands we're talking about. But I'm dead serious, man. Grown, like you said, Vern, to see grown men put so much oomph into another grown man. Like I just tweeted before the show because I guess Jay got the NFL to pay for something, and now everybody on Twitter and Instagram, like, and y'all said Jay wasn't for the people. I'm like, are you Jay swallowers? Is your stomach not full yet? Have you not swallowed enough of Jay throughout the decades that you are now? Is there still room in your stomach? Like, how can you swallow somebody who you don't even know? Like, I mean, and no matter what Jay does, Jay could get the NFL to pay for school books. It's like, look at what Jay did. Look at what it's almost like, look at what my dad did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the pride that these people have, and that's the scary part. When Conway be like, it's getting spooky out here, that's the spooky I'm talking about. When you are like, look at this man's accomplishments, and you don't know this nigga.
Right.
You never met the nigga. The nigga don't give a fuck about you
at all. Wouldn't spit on you if you was on fire.
People be killing me. Would you rather take $100,000 or have lunch with Jay? The fuck are you talking about?
Hold
have
on,
lunch
Kill.
with
Hold
Jay.
on. Let me spit.
Right. Like $100,000 have lunch with Jay. Like, you think Jay is gonna give you the secret to the world? Like, you really think Jay is just gonna be like, come here, let me tell you how I became a billionaire? Like, you gonna have a real quiet lunch, and then you're gonna be salty as hell. You gotta go back to work because you gave up the $100,000.
Yep.
I beg of y'all, stop it. Stop it. Please stop it. Please. Especially if you're trying to kick it to women on Twitter and women are seeing you. Like, that's not a good look. No girl wants to see they man like swallowing another grown man. It's not a good look, y'all. It's not a good
weird.
look.
It's
weird. See, Portia's letting y'all know it's weird. Jobs don't want to see that. Don't no hiring manager want to see you swallowing Jay all that. Y'all are fucking up your lives and don't even know it for a nigga who don't even care about you. So please stop it. It's not getting you ahead. Jay is not on Twitter. I know you're hoping that Jay's going to read my tweet and then he's going to fly me out. No, he's not. I promise you, Jay is not flying. Jay is not
zero people.
Jay is not flying you nowhere. He's not going to see your tweet. I know you hoping Beyonce's sister, Solange's baby's cousin's niece's nephew is going to see it and try to get it. It's not going to happen, y'all. Stop it. It's
He's going to tell you to get away from me. This ain't no pink suit. It's a mauve suit. That's what.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You crumb. Vern, let them know where they can get with you so that they can get a crib in the state of Georgia, man.
I at V the Loan Closer on Instagram, V Chandler 10 on Twitter.
Eddie, give him everything, good brother.
At Eddie D80 on Twitter and at Eddie Got Soul on Instagram.
Porsche, give him everything, miss.
Twitter is at Shayla Porsche.
All right, and DJ Rec 1.
Twitter is at DJ Rec 1. Mixcloud is at DJ Rec 1, and IG is the same.
And you already know this with me, Kill 889. We'll make beats for food. I will check y'all next week, y'all.
See ya.
Peace.
Dope show, y'all. Dope show.